Yo, what's up guys? Today some very interesting things to talk about. So 5 days ago I put out a video called Battlefield 2016, what is it and what do we want? And in that video I put forward what I think are the 5 most likely scenarios and themes for the next core Battlefield game. The options were World War I, World War II, modern day, near future and sci-fi 2143, and I also asked you guys to vote in a poll that I'd created to see out of those options what your preferred setting for the next game would be. Skip to today and we've had nearly 50,000 votes on that poll, which is awesome, so thank you to each and every one of you that took the time to do that. And before we start talking about the results, I want to say that obviously the player base of Battlefield is in the millions. It's not 50,000. There are people that play casually, people that play every day. It varies, so this is by no means a representation of that, but it is a representation of people who watch my content on YouTube, and I'd like to think that if you voted on that poll and watch my videos, you're probably a Battlefield player, and that means something. Okay, let's take a look at the results now. So as of today on the poll we have the following. In 5th place, World War I with 6% of the votes, 3,017. In 4th place, Near Future with 12%, 6,109. 3rd place, Sci-Fi 2143 at 13%, 6,628. In 2nd place, Modern Warfare 15%, 7,570, and in 1st place, World War II, 53% of the votes, 26,494. That's what we came back with, so it's a pretty big landslide win for World War II with over 50% of the votes. Modern Warfare, Sci-Fi and Near Future all roughly the same percentage, and World War I at the bottom. So what does this mean and what are the reasons behind it? I'm sure everyone will have an opinion on this. I think that first and foremost it signifies that people want a change for the Battlefield series, and in general from the massive amounts of modern military shooters we've had for the last 10 years. The last 3 Battlefield titles, BF3, BF4 and BF Hardline, are all set in modern day. They all have the same guns and gadgets, the vehicles in BF3 and BF4 are very samey, the games feel similar. Are we just getting bored of that now? Maybe we are, maybe it's time for a change, just something different than the titles we've been playing for so long. Go to places in the game we haven't been to before, or even revisit iconic locations we remember from previous games. Another one, I think taking the series back in the past has a simplistic charm to it. In World War II there were no lock-on missile launchers, railguns, EOD bots and remote control UCAVs. There wasn't 86 different primary weapons you could spawn in with. I counted that in BF4 earlier today, that's actually how many there are in the game. There's 17 secondary weapons as well. Certainly an impressive number if you like your games packed full of choice and using your favourite weapon. Some would argue it's a good thing, but on the other hand I think it's definitely created a situation where most players are confused with what to use or what's the right gun for each combat scenario, and they'll only ever use 4 or 5 of the same guns anyway. Throw on top of this the elaborate attachment system and all of the gadgets in the game and BF4 feels very bloated. It must be an incredible task and time sink for the developers to balance something like that. Going back in the past could somewhat solve this problem. There weren't as many guns and gadgets to choose from, the weapons had a slower rate of fire, and the ones that you used you had to master and use effectively. I'm not saying, alright, let's only have 10 guns in the game then, that would be awful of course. I just think scaling it back a touch and compressing it a little bit, maybe simplifying the attachment system too, would be a good move for the series. Take Bad Company 2 for example. I loved the weapon balance in that game. 7 primary kit weapons for each class and 9 all kit primaries. It worked very well in my opinion. Moving on, I think another element of this is nostalgia. You remember playing those World War II games back in the day, the Call of Duty, the Medal of Honor, the Battlefield 1942, and you've got fond memories of those games. The iconic locations you fought in and relived the video game version of history from the safety of your TV. And now, imagining what those moments could look like and how you could play and experience them in a visceral, stunning Frostbite engine game in 2016 is very exciting for FPS gamers to say the least. So then, is World War II a realistic possibility for the next Battlefield game? Well, I think if you're a core Battlefield fan, you would love it and you'd play the hell out of it. As I said in the previous video, the important thing is that Battlefield 2016 gets the gameplay right. It's got to be stable, well balanced, and have longevity to it in the form of good maps and interesting game modes that offer up a different experience each time you play them. I'm confident that a World War II Battlefield game could do that and it would be very good at it, but is it something that's going to sell well? Nowadays, the vast majority of FPS gamers that play games like Battlefield and Call of Duty are used to the modern combat setting, or even future with all of its guns, gadgets and weapon customization. The question is, will they want to go back to a simpler time? Some might say that World War II has already had its day in the video game space. It's been done so many times now that maybe it might feel a bit too familiar and samey. On the other side of the fence, I can see a scenario where it does sell well, and the feeling of simplicity, nostalgia and revisiting those places could overcome that. Could DICE make World War II video games fashionable again? Ultimately, I think what this says is that people want change and something different to experience. Let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. And that's all for today, folks. Once again, thank you very much for voting in that poll. I would love to know your opinion on the matter. Is this an accurate representation of where the Battlefield player base wants the series to go, or is it completely off the mark? As always, thank you very much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and I'll see you in the next one.